Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, pollster Alex Bruno believes the handling of the post-Maria housing crisis could make or break some politicians. Public Works goes back to the drawing board with its disaster response plan. And the $11 million York Valley Bridge could be handed over to government soon. The details of the news coming up.
If you're HIV positive or have an STI, having unprotected sex with multiple partners puts them in grave danger. You'll expose every partner and their present and future partners to HIV or another STI. Use a condom every time you have sex. You can live a productive life even if diagnosed with HIV. Remember, early detection is key to your survival. Be responsible, protect yourself and others. Help stop the spread of HIV and other STIs.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
First up in the news, the newly constructed York Valley Bridge will officially be handed over to the government and people of Dominica soon. Andrea Louis reports.
Deputy Prime Minister Reginald Austrie made the announcement during a site visit to the bridge on Wednesday. Construction of the $11 million York Valley Bridge began in October 2016 and was projected to be completed by August 2017. Austrie says the government is impressed with this piece of infrastructure, especially as it survived Hurricane Maria, while still not 100% complete at the time.
It withstood Hurricane Maria. So it has demonstrated its resilience, and it was not even completed yet. So we can say that one of the first major pieces of infrastructure that has been tested for resilience is the York Valley Bridge. You will appreciate the importance of that bridge, not only for the farmers accessing that area, but also linking 2 sections of the island and creating an alternative route, or a major route, which in fact is what it was. Within a week or so, the Chinese engineer to test the resilience of the bridge to ensure that everything is done according to specs, and very shortly after, this bridge will be handed over to the people and the government of Dominica.
The York Valley Bridge was constructed by the China Railway 14th Bureau Group Company Limited, which Ambassador Lu Kun says is one of the top construction companies in China.
This bridge is really very, very important bridge in Dominica. So the construction company of this bridge is from China. And this company is a very, very high quality, very, very powerful, and very, very big company in China. Most important projects in China are constructed by this company. I think this bridge it is a climate resilient bridge, and I hope that it will be very, very beneficial to the transportation between the east and the west in Dominica, and also beneficial to the farmers in the locality.
Member of Parliament for the St. Joseph constituency, Kelva Daru, says this modern bridge will help facilitate the development of tourism and agriculture in his constituency.
What we have right now is a state-of-the-art bridge, one which has 2 lanes, replacing the previous 1-lane bridge that we had. And of course, this will, I always say, is the benchmark for things to come in the Lehigh Valley area. The government of Dominica remains focused to ensuring that we have a state-of-the-art infrastructure within the Lehigh Valley, because it will in fact complement the rest of the infrastructure that we have across the country. The farmers of the St. Joseph, Layu and the surrounding areas, in fact we are very pleased with this product, and we are waiting anxiously for the official handing over when they can actually drive back to the farms utilizing this piece of infrastructure. And once we have this road fully functional again, we will see vast improvements both in terms of agriculture and also in terms of tourism, because the Lehigh River is also utilized for the the walkie rollers and the river tubing aspect of tourism.
The governments of Dominica and the People's Republic of China established diplomatic relations in 2004. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
In more news, General Manager of the Public Works Corporation says a more robust disaster response plan is being fleshed out for that institution. Teresa Jones says Hurricane Maria compromised the effectiveness of the corporation's gas shed, an essential component of the facility.
One area that we need to look at even at the corporation is our electricity. We need to have electricity at our gas shed, because we have a couple tanks that we would need to secure petrol for in case a disaster comes in, so at least the other areas, the other people on the committees would have easy access to the compound, and whereby they would be able to have fuel.
The General Manager said the subcommittees within the corporation will also be revamped and brought up to date.
Going forward, we have identified a number of employees in-house where we would have different areas to look at, where they would be responsible for specific areas. And also we plan to have a meeting, an in-house meeting, where we have our different committees, subcommittees. This is what we are heading to do now, to revise that list, because previously we had some employees on that list and they're no longer employed or have passed on.
Following the hurricane, the corporation played an integral role in helping clear blocked roads to allow for the smooth flow of traffic. John says 8.5 months after the hurricane, government has been sending a generous number of projects the corporation's way.
Well, I must say that the ministry is looking out for the corporation at this time. They try as much as possible to ensure that we have work to do. There are some areas that we're supposed to be completing. Even now, as we speak, we are working on Pembroke Street down in Portsmouth.
Dominica's West Coast Water Storage Tank project is expected to be completed by the end of this year. This water storage tank project falls under Component 1 of the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project DVRP. The entire DVRP is funded by the World Bank to the tune of $38 million. Monitoring and evaluation specialist with the DVRP, Nadette Langford, says all water tanks for the project have been constructed.
We have constructed 8 storage tanks along the West Coast in Montrachet, Bioche, Collioure, Picard, Glanville, Grange, Savant Pie, and Cottage. Right now, we're in the process of putting in the supply and distribution lines. Our key partner, DOWASCO, normally DVRP pays for supervision of works, but because of the partnership with DOWASCO, this is a technical support that they're providing to the DVRP, and this will turn into overall West Coast water supply.
Langford reported that the project was affected by Hurricane Maria, but things are now back on track.
Post-Hurricane Maria, we have experienced delays, obviously, with the construction, but we are back on track. We have done the necessary amendments for extensions in contracts, and we expect that we'll be commissioning by the last quarter of this year.
Chief Development Planner in the Ministry of Planning and Economic Development, Samuel Carrett, says water security has been a concern for government.
The water storage tanks are very important because it's actually building our capacity, storage capacity, to allow us to have water over a period of time if the lines are still in place post disaster. So that for us that's very important, because and we may have going forward we may have to build more storage tanks, because we had a problem after Maria, and I remember my former minister kept saying, "Carrot, you know, boy, we have so much water and we do not have water security, Karen." See, that bothered him quite a bit, actually, because we had to be getting water from all over the place, from outside of Dominica.
This water storage tank project is expected to benefit 20 communities and provide over 10,000 people on the West Coast with a more secure water supply. In other news now, some Dominicans appear to be taking great interest in how government handles post-Maria restoration efforts ahead of the next general election. Adjunct Instructor of Political Science at Palm Beach State College, Alex Bruno, has just completed a poll here which suggests 82% of respondents in favor of a change of government. 90% of respondents are in favor of electoral reform. But the results of the poll find government in the process of building back the country following the devastation of Hurricane Maria.
We wanted to determine, the question was to see the parties, the favorability of the political parties in Dominica 1 year ahead of the next constitutional election, or when it's due at least. And that's what we sought to find out this time, and we got it, in terms of how the people felt about those parties. And seeing that we had a hurricane almost a year ago, you cannot not do a poll here and not poll people's opinion on the reaction of the hurricane, government's treatment, government's handling, and stuff like that, the ration, the distribution of the relief items, and so on. Because I'm a social observer, and there have been so much discussion about how things were handled and the inequity or the inequitable distribution of items. So we decided to test it and measure it and see. And the poll told us that generally the relief supplies were very unequitably handled, in that people did not believe that it was fair across the board.
Bruno believes the Prime Minister's decision to take on the Ministry of Housing in this post-Maria era is strategic.
I was told that there was a cabinet reshuffle. I had not really seen the entire cabinet. And the Honourable Minister, who is the Prime Minister also, Roosevelt Skerrit, is now Housing Minister. I mean, Julian, I'm not a very bright guy, but if the poll results that I put out is correct, and I believe it is, the Prime Minister is very astute to take the Housing Ministry. I do not know his programs and what he intends to do, but it's a good ministry to have right now. It can either make him or break him. And it may very well make him or break him, you never know. But based on what the people are saying, all the attention right now, or the majority of the attention right now, is on housing. And politics is a very interesting and intricate game, and those who play it well win.
Bruno believes this post-Maria recovery period is critical for politicians who want to connect with the people, many of whom are still in shock coming out of the Maria experience.
And the party which best appeals to those needs will get the favor of the people. Now, money in itself, dumping of money, may not necessarily cut it alone. There is a human interaction that is necessary. And I just felt that on the ground, that the politicians are not on the ground. The only politician I met on the ground in 2 weeks was Ronald Charles at Loda. And it was interesting. He was actually cutting, he was doing some grass cutting on the playing field for the young people. And I also met Joshua Francis in Newtown on his vehicle, you know. But I'm talking about for 2 weeks. I didn't meet anybody else, anywhere else in Dominica. And the responses from the people are suggesting that this is a problem. Not just the opposition, but on the government side.
Polls can be very controversial, and so we asked Mr. Bruno about the size of the sample polled between May 19 and 28.
Your sample, how big was your sample? 1% of the voting population in every area that was surveyed. That is against the standard given when you're conducting such polls. So in an area where there are 3,800 voters registered, you would do like 3840. Sometimes we do 40, 45 individuals. In areas where there are 7,000, you do 770, or sometimes you go close to 100. So it varies. And in areas when you're polling and you realize that the poll is saying certain things, you sometimes do a little more samples than not, especially in tossed-up areas. But that's the prerogative of the poll designer and the supervisor on the ground. But we do not, when a scientific poll is so organized that there is very little room for deviation from the set norm. That is what we do. It's on paper in black and white, and that is what has to be followed throughout for it to be truly scientific. And our work was scientific.
Pollsters took a serious blow in the 2016 U.S. general election, which predicted a win for the Democrats. Pollsters also failed to accurately predict the landslide victory of the Barbados Labour Party in the recent general elections there. You are watching Channel 5 News. Coming up, who is to be blamed for the collapse of a building in the center of Roseau? That and more when the news continues.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. President of the DAPD, Irma Joseph, has brought the case of Loic Charles to a public forum and appealed to government to assist his pursuit of university education. While addressing the organization's 35th AGM on Wednesday, Joseph pointed out that people living with disabilities deserve equal education opportunities.
Capacity building is high on our agenda. When we look at Article 24, it speaks about education. And it states that persons with disabilities are not excluded from the general education system on the basis of disability, and that children with disabilities are not excluded from free and compulsory primary education or from secondary education on the basis of disability.
Joseph is calling for increased investment and the inclusion of all into the formal education system.
In order to help ensure the realization of this right, state parties shall take appropriate measures to employ teachers, including teachers with disabilities, who are qualified in sign language and Braille, and to train professionals. State parties shall ensure that persons with disabilities are able to access general tertiary education, vocational training, adult education, and lifelong learning without discrimination on an equal basis with others.
Loic Charles, a member of the DAPD, is the first visually impaired graduate of high school and college. Joseph says he needs financial support to study at a U.S. university.
DAPD is proud to be part of Loic's education achievement. He is the first blind student to have gone through the education system. Loic have graduated with an associate degree in information technology from the Dominica State College in August 2016. His goal is to pursue a degree at a university in the US. He needs financial assistance. Today I'm hoping that the government and the citizens who can will assist him in achieving and realizing his dream. The DAPD empowers all to set personal, academic, and career goals, to keep our expectations high, and to understand our abilities more than our disability.
Meantime, head of the St. Lucia National Council for the Disabled has encouraged his Dominican counterparts to strongly advocate for the advancement of those living with disabilities. James says they have to persevere in their quest for advancement and full inclusion.
You are not just members of DAPD. Oh no. You're not just a member of an organization. You need to see, feel, think, and act like a disability rights advocate. And by definition, we as disability rights advocates cannot avoid interacting with politicians on all sides, because it is in this political arena that the decisions which impact our lives are made.
James reminded the audience at the DAPD's 35th AGM that it is common practice for elected officials to promise change and abandon those assurances.
The reality is well known. Political parties know how to mobilize and to get persons with disabilities out to the polling stations on election day, because every vote matters. Not in Dominica? No, not here. It happens here too. Okay. They understand the power of your vote, my brothers and sisters. And oh goodness, may they never forget that power. They will promise to address our need for employment, housing, access to public services and social assistance, but all too common across the world. There is the total disappearance of this attention and zeal when they get elected.
He has warned members of the DAPD that they should persist with their pursuits on development for the disabled in society.
We the people vote for representatives to work for and to serve us. We are, however, far too often enslaved by the unfortunate notion that the politicians are in power. Oh no, the politicians are in office. It is we, the people, who are always in power. As disability rights advocates, let us cherish and utilize the power of democracy and diplomacy and persevere in advocating for our advancement.
And while pedestrians stopped to gaze in amazement, a construction crew continued to work, trying to literally pick up the pieces. This after a house currently under post-Maria repair collapsed on Wednesday afternoon. It appears the building collapsed under the weight of the new roof which was being installed. Workers nearby say they heard occasional noises which served as a warning that the building was on its way down. Fortunately, no one was hurt as a result of this incident. Luckily, the building fell on the sidewalk and not on neighboring buildings, one of them a hair salon. The story of the collapsed building has taken off on social media, as well with the Dominicans questioning how the authorities could allow such a project to go ahead if the building in question was not structurally sound enough to withstand the weight of the new roof. And that's the news. A look again at the headlines. Pollster Alex Bruno believes the handling of the post-Maria housing crisis could make or break some politicians. Public Works goes back to the drawing board with its disaster response plan, and the $11 million York Valley Bridge could be handed over to government soon. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can access our news on YouTube. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.